Hurtado, thank you so much for coming in on this Monday morning. I know you've had a very busy summer. I've been reading all like the funding that you've been able to bring to Kern County. I mean, just to start off, 28 million in total, 2 million for child protective services, 2 million for valley fever testing, 2 million for fire department, sheep and goat grazer operations, 1 million for the Meadowfields Airport, and 21 million for floodplain restoration. Can you tell me a little bit about that funding, how it's going to help Kern County, and what that means to you?
Yeah, look, I know from throughout the year, I've watched the stories on TV. I've heard from individuals firsthand of the different needs that there are here in Kern County. I know I mentioned that, for example, the Mayor McFarland said that they needed to fix some flooding issues that they had there, and we were able to get that. We were able to get that done this year. Same goes with child protection services. They could use additional funding. I heard the stories earlier in the year and found an opportunity to be able to secure those funds for Kern County. And it was a difficult thing to do in a budget year like the one that we faced. Yet I was able to get it done, and hopefully that will ease things up here in the region, and hopefully it'll go beyond that. And I'm sure that it will, given how Kern County gets things done.
Absolutely, and going a little bit more specifically on some of this funding and things that you've done, like I think one of the biggest ones, Senate Bill 237, that you're able to accomplish, and getting the oil permitting to the Jeff Flores, Board of Supervisors, says one of the could be one of the most significant bills to come to Kern County, and consumers at the pump could start seeing lower prices for gas as soon as maybe January 1st. And I know that right now, for not just people in Kern County, California, but in America, the cost of living is one of the biggest concerns. Can you tell me a little bit more, and our viewers, more about Senate Bill 237 and how it could have an impact on people here in Kern County?
Well, yes, look, the EIR is very important to this region. It provides a lot of economic support when there's permitting that is allowed. That hasn't been the case for several years, although leaders here in Kern County have pushed for that at the state level. It hasn't been the case. So SB 237 and putting that into law allows Kern County to do the drilling without having to rely on Sacramento and to get the permits that are needed. I do believe that there still needs to be additional work done to ensure that we have a reliable supply of energy production here in the state to meet the demand. I think that the current EIR is a huge step in the right direction, but I still think that there's some work left to be done, and I'm hoping that we can recognize that need in Sacramento this legislative year and take action on it.
Yeah, that's also what I want to ask about. This seems like a step in the right direction for consumers. What else could be done in terms of energy and oil to kind of looking ahead into 2026 to kind of help people around the county?
Well, I think that we'll have to think about offshore oil drilling. I know that's something that coastal communities are not excited or like. I know that's something that some are really opposed to, but I think first and foremost, energy security is the most important because it's something that we all rely and need, and it's also an affordability issue. And so if we don't take the necessary steps to provide that energy security for Californians, then it's going to be bad news for everybody, not just for certain individuals in certain parts of the state. It's going to be bad news for everybody. So I'm hoping that we get that done, we get something done, some sort of compromise, and I just think that the need will be there, and so we'll have to take action. So that's one thing that I'm hoping that we can get done. The other thing is ensuring that a lot of the mitigation funds that go into the county for funding out of the oil permitting stay within Kern County, because that at the end of the day, those are mitigation funds that serve a purpose. So that's something that I'm looking at personally at figuring out how we can make that happen. It's millions of dollars that are in fees to drill. I want those dollars to stay here. That should be the case. That's not necessarily the case all the time. So those are just two goals that I have right now. We'll see what the legislative year brings.
And still kind of focusing on SB 237. I know California's been big on leading charge in clean energy, and from all the research I've done on this bill is California will still remain the leader in clean energy in terms of drilling here in California. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about that and the cleanness of this energy bill that'll be drilled here in California?
Well, I mean, I think that there's definitely has been for some time a push towards clean energy. I'm all for energy security. Whatever, of course, I want to eventually ensure that we have clean energy. But I think that first and foremost, there's got to be security all across the board, and affordability is a huge piece of that. I think that's what's on everybody's mind when you get your electric bills. When you're driving a vehicle, we want to make sure that it's affordable, and that's something that we'll have to be able to balance as we're shifting towards clean energy. Is ensuring that it's not becoming a burden on families. And I think the feeling, and I certainly feel this way, is that it currently is. So we have to rethink that.
Absolutely. And then kind of wanted to shift to your Senate Bill 910 that was passed a few years ago, and the Hard Rock Casino that's been open. What is your outlook on that casino opening? What kind of jobs could it bring to Kern County, and what could it do potentially for the economy here?
Well, I think we're already seeing the economy of what it's bringing to Kern County. If you've been out there recently, even after the opening, you'll see individuals that have been driving from the Los Angeles area, from Southern California, making the drive to be part of entertainment that they have there, gaming. So it's going to be very good in terms of economic development for the region, for the county, and it's been successful so far. I'm happy to have worked on that piece of legislation to ensure that the compact got done here in the state of California, and it's an exciting moment for the Tejon tribe to be finally recognized. It's such a huge deal for them, and it's historic, and it's long overdue.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's been a long process getting the casino open, but everyone seems to be really excited that it's open, bringing more just activities to do around Kern County, and like you said, it's been attracting a lot of people to the area, which I think is very exciting. And do you think it's something that Bakersfield can kind of begin to grow off of and bring more attractions here?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still, I believe, the hotel that's in the works. It's already brought a lot of people. I've been hearing from individuals here in Kern County that family loved ones that have been hired at a time when there's high unemployment rate in Kern County. That's jobs is what we need. Jobs is what people want. Especially as we're heading into the holidays. But the unemployment rate is double the state and the national, and that's something that we got to be able to change around and bring jobs here, and that's a big piece.
How and you think I think like bringing in the casino and other things. I think even like there's a water park that potentially is in talks about trying to bring into Bakersfield, and things like that could really probably help with unemployment rates around Kern County.
Yeah, I think that the casino there is going to really open the doors for a lot of other things to happen here in Kern County, to bring in additional jobs. Again, if you look at the individuals that are coming here from outside of the Central Valley, from Southern California, it's bringing in people that we probably haven't brought in before, which is huge. And I think that folks will want to build off of that. And I also think there's plenty of opportunity in the Olympics that are not too far along or too far away in 2028. I think there's plenty of opportunity to bring in jobs and opportunities here to Kern County and other parts of the Central Valley when it comes to economic development and job opportunities.
Absolutely. And you briefly touched on it, but we're heading into 2026 is just around the corner. What are some things that you've gotten a lot accomplished this year? You briefly touched on it. What are you kind of looking to work on and accomplish in 2026?
Yeah, so I think 2026 for me will continue to be to ensure to fight that we reduce the cost for individuals when it comes to food, when it comes to to rent. I think that a huge part of that is our algorithm price fixing bill. It's having some challenges on the assembly side right now to get it out of the assembly floor, but I think it's a bill that there's no way that we can not talk about the role that certain businesses are playing when it comes to price fixing. It's a huge and massive issue in our economy, and we have to be able to address it head on. I don't think this is a Democrat issue or a Republican issue. This is an issue about our economy and affordability. And I know that even on the other side of the aisle, the president recently stated that there was a DOJ investigation into the meat packers and the price fixing that is going on. So it's very much real. I think, again, technology is really changing all of that. I'll continue to have conversations in the role that it's been playing here in the Central Valley. There's got to be more investigations. We've got to be able to tackle this issue, but it's something that we have to get done through legislation first. But I think there's some work that could be done in the meantime.
Yeah, I know that Senate Bill 295, I believe it made some headway, but like you said, had a little bit of its challenges. And I think for someone even like me, I didn't fully understand how much AI is playing into setting costs for spending. Even though I've had my apartment, it's the AI and algorithms are setting like the prices of how much you pay for your apartment. Could you just kind of tell us, or like people who may not quite understand, how is AI playing its role in setting prices for consumers?
Well, there's this statement that's pretty widely out there that says that data is the new gold. And I would say that is absolutely true. So that's why you have all these entities wanting to collect information on you, on how you shop or what you shop for and when you do it, all this stuff, because information is so powerful. I mean, we've always known that, but that's the case even more so now when it comes to technology, when it comes to artificial intelligence. And look, I'm no expert in artificial intelligence, but what I do know is that we're feeling the impacts, and when we talk about price fixing and this information, typically price fixing traditionally has occurred when you have two entities or two businesses that come together. They get together in the same room and they say, okay, let's increase the cost of coffee, and then they work together to bring it up. Well, in today's time, that's you don't longer need to be in a room. You have an algorithm, you have technology doing it for you. So that's very problematic, because whether it's physically in person or if it's using technology, price fixing is still price fixing. It's still impacting the cost of the goods that we need. So it should be a no-brainer for individuals. This shouldn't be a Democrat or Republican issue. This is a people issue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you said, this is not really the consumer's wallets is not either left or right thing. Could you maybe talk about a little bit of across the aisle with the Republicans, how you've kind of maybe been discussing things with them on and how to maybe kind of accomplish getting this bill passed?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to some of my Republican colleagues, and I've said, come on, like, this is something that's really not a Democrat issue. It's not a liberal issue. It's not a conservative. This is really an issue that we can both work on it. I know I joked with a friend of mine on the other side of the aisle, and I messaged her and I said, hey, like, the president just came out and said that the DOJ is going to investigate these price fixing issues in the meat markets. You guys should jump on board. I think that there's still a lot of education that needs to occur with why this is important, why pushing for it is important, getting it implemented and making sure that it's the law of the land, and what it means for the U.S. as a nation, as what it means to our own freedoms, because it's limiting. When things are going up, the cost of everything's going up, you become a lot more limited and you feel like you don't have the freedom to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it's probably one of the number one issues I I think, for people not just in Kern County or California, but across America. Also, I know you recently went on a farm tour in Ventura County. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about how that went?
Yes, we have here in the state of California. We just appointed a new California State Senate Pro Tem. So we have a new Senate leader. She's the first Latina to be appointed to this position in all of California's history. It's a big thing for California. She's the highest-ranking Latina in the state, and we did a tour in her district when it comes to agriculture, a farm tour. It was a really great opportunity for me to do this tour with her in her district, but also with the Speaker of the Assembly to talk about food prices. That's something that we talked about. Water always. I mean, it's a little bit different in Ventura, but nonetheless, there's still water is still a concern for most, and ensuring that they're able to sell their products is something that's also really important to them. So overall, the farm tour went well, and I'm glad to see that you have the two of California's leaders talking about farms and agriculture and food, because those are all issues that are important to us here in the Central Valley, and I hope that we can make some improvements going into the new legislative year, and that will have their attention this cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see this cross communication almost between Kern County and Ventura County in terms of agriculture. Is there things that we could learn from Ventura County here in Kern County versus vice versa? Or like, how does that crosstalk kind of help one another and kind of continue to push being the agricultural centers of California?
Well, for me, it's important to know, because it's food security. I mean, if you're going to be a legislator in California, you should know how you're going to protect all Californians and ensuring that they have reliable and affordable food. And I would say that there needs to be more of that, more learning and understanding of each other's districts, and the importance of certain sectors of our economy, like the ag sector. It's something that perhaps with more reaching over across the aisle or doing more visits will give them a better understanding of perhaps what are the things that we need, and how the state can better assist farmers and ag communities to make sure that they're sustainable, that they can thrive, but also to ensure that food security is something that we have for all Californians.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of wanted to shift gears towards,
Sure.
We're under a year now out from the California governor race and election. I know there's even some talk of Republicans being front runners right now for this race. For your party, there's not really anyone who's kind of taken the lead there. What kind of are your thoughts?
Well, I'd say it's interesting. I personally think that having a challenger is a good thing. So the fact that there's so many individuals that are running, I think that's a good thing for California. It gives the opportunity to exchange more ideas and share solutions of what are the issues that Californians are coping with. It forces more people to listen, and that's always a good thing, because it also pushes them to come up with solutions, and it's also an opportunity for them to listen to what their competition has to say, because we want to be able to solve people's problems, and having more candidates, I think, it's a good thing. It's interesting, but we'll see what ends up happening, and we'll see where the gubernatorial race will end up at the beginning of the year. Maybe we'll begin to see some individuals dropping off.
Yeah, speaking of dropping off, I know a lot of people saw the interview with Julie Watts and Katie Porter, and some people were even kind of calling, especially for the Republicans, for her to step down from the race. And what say you?
I mean, I think Katie Porter is passionate and wants to serve Californians, and I think that she owned up to her mistake and apologized, and I think that people still support her. So I think people are forgiving. They recognize this as a very stressful and high intense type of positions that we're in, and we're not perfect. So I think people recognize, and that's why her polling is still it hasn't gone significantly down like people thought it would.
We still is a good bit of time, but people have been talking about this election coming up, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that kind of starts to begin to shape up. And do you plan on endorsing anyone?
Yeah, I've endorsed Javier Becerra. I started off with Eleni, then Eleni dropped off, and I've endorsed Javier Becerra. I think they're all qualified, but I think Javier Becerra has experience at the state, local, and federal level, and that's something that I think will be very beneficial to all Californians. So we'll see where that ends up going. At the end of the day, I'm going to be open to whomever the gubernatorial candidate on the Democratic ticket is going to be. I'm going to support them all the way, whether it's Javier Becerra or somebody else. And obviously, I'll want to work with the next governor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the budget deficit here in California. I know California pays some of the highest taxes in the country, yet there still is issues with the budget and us being in a deficit. I wanted to see what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I think it's not looking good. It might get a little bit worse. We're hoping that's not the case, but we kind of have to be patient and anticipate the worst, but also hope for the best. And I think that when it comes to taxes, I mean, I hear people out. I do. Taxes are increasingly becoming more so a burden than ever before because of the cost of living. I think that's something that I know my team and I are working on, particularly and specifically property taxes, because I think that the sentiment out there is that there's loopholes in the current property tax system that is allowing property taxes to go higher and higher, and that's something that Californians don't want. So we're looking at that. We're doing the research now to see what kind of legislative solution we can possibly come up with. I personally just don't think it's the right time to try to increase taxes. For the most part, I have been opposed to them. I do think that we got to be able to cut out fraud and waste that we have in our budget. But we got to be a lot more open about talking about that, and we're just not there yet. But I do think this is something that we got to just own up to.
Yeah, I mean, where does that process start? I know you're saying we need to start talking about it, but this is something that voters are really, really concerned about. Like, where do we begin when we start looking at the taxes and how they've increased, and we still have this deficit in the budget?
Well, I mean, I think look, I always invite people in our community to reach out, submit proposals, legislative ideas, budget requests through my website. People can still continue to do that, and I encourage them to do so. The solutions don't always necessarily have to come from us. It could come from the community, but there will need to be input at the budget level when budget discussions begin to happen, budget hearings begin to happen. I think the more that we hear people out and get input, that I think the better it is. I think that oftentimes we don't get the level of input that we would like, and I think that input is so important for all of us, and especially in this type of process. So I think budget hearings is the right opportunity to start having those conversations. Obviously, having conversations and talking about it in interviews and whatnot is also a good time to talk about it.
Absolutely. Senator, is there anything else you wanted to touch on today?
Not at the moment.